In 1994, a Kurdish shepherd noticed something unusual on the ground. A carved stone. Then another. Then another. By the time archaeologists arrived, they had found something that should not exist. A temple complex, perfectly constructed, built 12,000 years ago. 4,000 years before Stonehenge, 6,000 years before the Egyptian pyramids, 2,000 years before we invented writing. The problem isn't that it's old. The problem is that according to everything we know about early human civilization, it's impossible. By the end of this video, you're going to know 3 things. First, what Göbekli Tepe actually is, and why the people who built it were not supposed to exist. Second, why it was deliberately buried, not by time, not by nature, by human hands, and what that means. Third, what has never been found here, and what that absence tells us about the people who came before us. We've been told a very clean story about human prehistory. Hunter-gatherers, then farming, then civilization, then monuments. Göbekli Tepe doesn't fit that story, and for 20 years, a significant portion of the academic establishment has been quietly hoping you wouldn't notice. Here's the accepted version of human prehistory. For the vast majority of our existence, roughly 190,000 years, Homo sapiens were nomadic. We hunted, we gathered, we moved with the seasons. Then, around 10,000 BCE, something changed. We call it the Neolithic Revolution. Humans began farming. We settled. We formed communities. And only then, once we had surplus food, specialized labor, and social organization, did we begin building monuments. This is the sequence: agriculture first, complexity second, monuments third. It's logical. It's tidy. It's taught in every university on Earth. Göbekli Tepe was built at 9,600 BCE by people who, according to that sequence, should still have been wandering. Let's go through what's actually there. Göbekli Tepe contains at least 20 circular enclosures. The ones excavated so far hold T-shaped limestone pillars up to 6 meters tall, that's nearly 20 feet, and weighing up to 20 tons each. These weren't dragged from a local quarry. The nearest viable stone source is a kilometer away, across uneven terrain, moving 20-ton blocks, without the wheel, without metal tools, without draft animals. Engineers who have studied the site estimate it would require coordinating hundreds of people simultaneously. Hunter-gatherers don't do that, because hunter-gatherers don't have hundreds of people in one place. The pillars at Göbekli Tepe are covered in carved reliefs, not crude scratches, sophisticated, technically demanding stone carving. Animals in motion, abstracted human forms with arms and hands, geometric symbols that appear identically across multiple enclosures built centuries apart. This implies a shared symbolic language, a culture, a tradition maintained and transmitted across generations. You don't get a shared symbolic language from people who don't live together. Here's the one that should disturb you most. In 20 years of excavation, no hearths, no cooking implements, no storage pits, no grinding stones, no evidence of permanent habitation. Whatever Göbekli Tepe was built for, it was not to live in. It was built purely as a place of purpose, of ritual, of meaning. Religion came before civilization, not after. Archaeologist Klaus Schmidt excavated Göbekli Tepe from 1994 until his death in 2014. He called it the first man-made holy place. But it wasn't what Schmidt found that keeps researchers up at night. It's what someone else did to it. Around 8000 BCE, roughly 1,600 years after construction began, Göbekli Tepe was buried. Not by an earthquake, not by gradual erosion, by deliberate, coordinated human effort. The enclosures were filled with a specific mix of limestone rubble, flint tools, and animal bones, material that had to be carried in and packed intentionally. It is, by every archaeological assessment, a purposeful act. Someone, or many someones, chose to conceal this site completely. And then they left. The question that has never been satisfactorily answered is, why? 3 mainstream explanations are offered. 1. The burial was a form of ritual closure, a ceremony ending one phase of use and beginning another. 2. The site was buried to protect it from rival groups, a form of cultural preservation. 3. We simply don't know. And that's the answer that appears in some form in almost every peer-reviewed paper. But here is what we do know. The burial worked. For 10,000 years, Göbekli Tepe was invisible. Whatever those people wanted hidden, stayed hidden. Until a shepherd kicked a stone in 1994. Only about 5% of the total site has been excavated. Ground-penetrating radar surveys indicate somewhere between 16 and 20 additional enclosures are still beneath the surface. There is also, and this is not speculation, this is from the published survey data, an anomaly at the center of the hill that doesn't match the pattern of the surrounding structures. Something larger, something different, something they haven't dug up yet. The Turkish government, which now controls the site, has significantly restricted excavation access since 2014. Draw your own conclusions. So what does this mean? Why does it matter that some stones in Turkey are older than we expected? Because Göbekli Tepe doesn't just push the timeline back. It suggests the timeline is wrong in a fundamental way. If an organized, symbolically sophisticated, architecturally capable culture existed at 9600 BCE, one that built on this scale for centuries before being deliberately erased from the landscape, then the story we've been told about human development isn't incomplete, it's inverted. We weren't building towards complexity. We came from it. And something happened. Something that took us backward. Something that the people at Göbekli Tepe apparently saw coming, because they buried their greatest achievement before it arrived. Mainstream archaeology calls this interpretation speculative, and technically they're right. We don't have proof. But absence of proof is not proof of absence. And the proof we do have is sitting in a hole in the Turkish desert, 95% unexcavated, with restricted access. While the institution responsible for our collective understanding of the past quietly updates its textbooks to say, earlier than previously thought. No urgency, no reckoning, just a footnote. Here's what we know for certain. Göbekli Tepe is real. The dates are verified. The scale is documented. The deliberate burial is not contested. Here's what we don't know. Who built it? Where they came from? Where they went? What's in the central anomaly? And why, when you look at the carved symbols on the pillars, almost identical marks appear on structures in Malta, in Indonesia, in Peru, built by cultures that, according to the official timeline, had no contact with each other. Maybe that's coincidence. Maybe it's something else. There are sites around the world that share Göbekli Tepe's problem, structures that predate the civilizations we've assigned them to, sites that have been excavated, studied, and then quietly set aside because they don't fit the model. The next video goes to one of them. Underwater. A city. Submerged. Off the coast of India. Sonar mapped. Carbon dated to over 9,000 years ago. And completely ignored by mainstream archaeology. If Göbekli Tepe taught us anything, is that the story we've been told about human civilization is missing chapters. Big ones. Drop a comment below. What do you think was really buried at Göbekli Tepe? And why? Subscribe if you want to be there when we open the next vault. This is Vaulted Age. What they buried, what we found.